Hey Stub Clubbers, welcome back again to another 25 Days of Disney. I'm Julia.
And I'm Jennifer.
And today we're here to talk about the big Disney Pixar sequel debate. Which movies had sequels? Were they good? Were they necessary? Should they leave them alone? We're going to get into it. So we're going to go through the timeline and take a look at the order all of the Pixar movies have come out. November 22nd, 1995, Toy Story.
November 25th, 1998, A Bug's Life.
November 24th, 1999, Toy Story 2.
November 2nd, 2001, Monsters, Inc.
May 30th, 2003, Finding Nemo.
November 5th, 2004, The Incredibles.
June 9th, 2006, Cars.
June 29th, 2007, Ratatouille.
June 27th, 2008, WALL-E.
May 29th, 2009, Up.
June 18th, 2010, Toy Story 3.
June 24th, 2011, Cars 2.
June 22nd, 2012, Brave.
June 21st, 2013, Monsters University.
June 19th, 2015, Inside Out.
November 25th, 2015, The Good Dinosaur.
June 17th, 2016, Finding Dory.
June 16th, 2017, Cars 3.
November 22nd, 2017, Coco.
June 15th, 2018, Incredibles 2.
June 21st, 2019, Toy Story 4.
March 6th, 2020, Onward.
December 25th, 2020, Soul.
June 18th, 2021, Luca.
So after going through the timeline and taking a look back of which Pixar movies came out exactly when, we're going to have a little debate here and talk about which ones had sequels and whether we liked them or not and if it was actually necessary as part of the franchise.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to go in order when these sequels were released so we stay organized and we're doing it in chronological order. And we're going to debate, was this necessary? Toy Story 2.
So we had 4 of them.
Yes.
Or 3 sequels.
Toy Story 2, I say, is one of my top Pixar films. It was necessary. It was an amazing movie. I'm glad they made it. I think that is one that it's great. They should have made it. I don't regret it at all. And it's something that I don't think people should crap on like they do.
I think Toy Story and Toy Story 2 somehow go hand in hand to each other. Growing up, when we were younger watching them, if we watched Toy Story, we had to watch Toy Story 2 right after it. They go together so well, and it makes sense, and it's just a great extension of the characters and a new storyline that wasn't far out there. Yeah, so I agree with that. It was a very, very strong, good, successful sequel, and I think a lot of other fans have the same opinion of that Toy Story is definitely a very good sequel that Pixar put out. For my personal opinion, we were very excited when Toy Story 3 came out in 2010 because we had a huge gap of time between 1999 and 2010 for another Toy Story movie to be released. Now, it was a huge gap of time. I enjoyed seeing it in theaters because we were so excited to see another Toy Story movie. I personally think it's a good movie. Like, I like it, but it's nowhere near as strong and as my favorites as, of course, the original or the sequel, Toy Story 2. So what is your take on Toy Story 3?
I say Toy Story 3, the way it was written, the way it was developed, it was in a different time of Disney where the second one was part of your 90s solid Disney movies, and it was heartwarming. It was good. With this third one, I feel like that they were really writing it. There was like this kid factor with it. I know in the second one and the first one, you have them having a lot of like, it's, of course, they're kids' toys. But when you got into it for the third one, it was a lot of like preschooler toys. It was like focused a lot.
They were at a daycare.
No, they were at a daycare. There was a lot focused on that. I feel like that the new toys they introduced to us were not. They were no way up to par than the toys that they introduced in the second one.
Yeah, like when we got Jessie and Bullseye, they became such an integral part of the Toy Story gang that when you go to the third one, you don't even think, when you think of Toy Story, you don't even include whatever toys were in the third one in your in the group of them.
And I know it was a way to pass on the torch for Andy going to college, giving them to Bonnie to have, a new generation get his toys and to make them live on. And it was a way to pass on the torch to bring the Disney generation that was at that time in 2010 to bring Toy Story in with a brand new story. So that's why they did it.
And I remember everyone was so psyched. Toy Story 3, oh my gosh, they're making another one. It was a huge deal that was made. But I think after time has passed, of course, the first and the second Toy Story are still top to everybody, and the third can't really compare. I actually want to go in out of the fourth one. I have a lot of opinions about the fourth one. The fork concept was so dumb. Like
Forky.
Like, what did they think? Oh, I'm this object. I'm not a toy. Yeah, you're not a toy. And he has identity problems. I don't know if they're trying to get with the times, maybe, or what. But guess what? I don't need Woody arguing that you are a toy. You're not. Okay, maybe Bonnie made you. It's like, oh, I'm gonna make this fork and play with it. But it's like, you're not really a toy. And that the fact that Forky was center to everything, and I did love that Bo Peep was brought back into it. That was exciting. But the fact that the whole plot centered around Forky and him getting lost, like, I can't even remember because I only watched it once. But I was just like, what is going on? And I remember when I heard about their plot idea, I was like, this is a joke, right? And I'd have to look back into research, but I think they originally had, I don't know if it was for the third or fourth Toy Story. I think there may have been another storyline idea that they ended up not using, but I don't know. But I again, Bo Peep, and then I liked Bunny and Ducky, those stuffed animals. I don't know.
There were, okay, if you take Forky out of the equation, there were things that I enjoyed with Toy Story 4 more than Toy Story 3. There were things in Toy Story 3 more that I enjoyed than 4. I overall do have problems with both of the movies. I do think that when you look at it at a writing standpoint, they are different than the first and the second ones. They are, I don't know, I still feel like they're like they're writing towards like an even younger audience than what they were with Toy Story 1 and 2. I did not like the concept at all that Woody and Buzz now are separated, like they parted ways. I don't like that at all.
I forgot that. See, I need to watch Toy Story 4 again. I really do.
I saw it in theaters, and I feel like I watched it maybe once after it came out, but it's...
Wait, so who's with who now? I can't remember.
So Woody stayed with Bo Peep, and then Buzz Lightyear went back with Bonnie's toys.
And then
they're gonna live on their own adventures.
Oh yeah, they were at that fair. Oh, that was sad for me. I didn't like it either. So, I don't know.
I just feel like they kind of, even though that they want to, I feel like they ran out of ideas, and those movies really should not have happened.
I am shocked they made a Toy Story 4. I don't understand. 3 was enough, if anything. They didn't need to make another one. With Toy Story 3, the way they ended it, with Bonnie taking the toys, Andy gives them to her, and they have this nice, very sad, but a closing scene. And that I thought was the final chapter. Why they did a Toy Story 4, I do not know. And the thing is I could even see Pixar wanting to do a Toy Story 5. Like, I just think they want to keep going with it for some reason.
They know that they can, they really know that they can get a ton of money off of this, because Toy Story has such a huge audience. You have adults now that are going to go see it still.
Yeah.
Bringing their kids. They're going to be buying toys now for their kids. They know it's like their big, huge money maker. Yeah. And they know this. They know this. And yes, they make money off of it, but is it quality? No, it's not. The Toy Story franchise needs to end.
Period.
So
moving on to our next Pixar film that had a sequel, Cars. Cars, we don't need to get in too deep into this since I know we had another discussion, a separate video, go watch. Mm-hmm. It's not an unpopular opinion. Cars 2, a lot of people don't like. It was a random spy movie. Kind of, unnecessary. I think they were just trying to change it up because they didn't know what to do with the cars being in Radiator Springs again. So they thought, let's take them around the world. Why they made it a spy thing, I do not know because I've never related cars to spies. And I don't know how they came up with that. But a lot of people said it was a flop. Thoughts?
Yeah, I know we definitely saw it in theaters. Maybe in the moment we thought it was okay because we were happy we got another Cars movie. But this movie is not good at all. It's not.
I haven't watched it in a really long time. But
maybe there's a reason why we haven't watched it in a long time, because we know that there's ones better than this, and it's not good. But when you look at Cars 3, that really should have been Cars 2. You've got the wholesomeness of Radiator Springs. You have Doc, who has passed away. And
it's like a comeback story because Lightning McQueen, it's been years, and in our minds, I think it was more like he's aged. It's been years and years, and he's considered maybe older for a car in the race world, and him trying to come back, and then he
crashes.
He takes on the coach, though. At the end, he becomes that role like Doc was. I thought that was very good how they did that. I guess we had to have a Cars 2 to get to a Cars 3, but you said it could have been the second one. The problem is Cars 2, Mater was practically the main character, so I feel like that it wasn't even, I don't know how to say it. It just felt like it was a standalone movie with Mater as the star, and that it just didn't do well.
But the thing is that when they have all of these people in a writing room, they are going to be bouncing so many ideas off the walls, that, they're going to be bringing up, okay, if this movie is successful, are we going to make a sequel out of it? And sometimes, they already have some of these ideas in the bag. So I don't understand when they were developing Cars 2, why they even wasted and bothered on something like that. Okay, maybe little kids, they'll enjoy it. Because it's just another movie with cars, with spies, whoop-de-doo. But the storyline was very, very well written for the third one.
The only thing that made sense, so I will say, so the first Cars movie came out in 2006, and the third one was all the way in 2017. So as for time-wise in the real world, it made sense for Lightning McQueen to be like, oh, am I done racing? I'm older, Doc's gone. It made more sense for passage of time in our world for that. If they would have had Cars 2006 and then the Cars 3 storyline as the second Cars movie in 2011, I don't know, that's only 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's only 5 years. So maybe the storyline wouldn't have made as much sense. I don't know, with passage of time-wise.
See, now, we didn't say this for Toy Story, but I believe with Cars, this would have been okay if they would have had one. This movie would have been successful being a standalone story. I also think that Toy Story also was so good that it could have worked out as a standalone without continuing the story. So I say would you agree?
It's hard to say just Toy Story standing alone when Toy Story 2 was so great. I'm trying to think of what the ending scene of Toy Story is. You just watched it.
It's the Christmas scene where now they're going to be getting new toys, and that's when Andy gets the dog. And they're all nervous of what new toys are they gonna get. He also got Mrs. Potato Head.
I think sometimes with these Pixar films, when they create characters that are really beloved and popular, especially with Toy Story and Cars, we talked about both of these, and they made a lot of merchandise off of them because I feel like, especially Toy Story, with having beloved characters, Buzz and Woody, that's, I want to say, Pixar's reasoning for making a sequel. Now with Cars, I think that definitely can be a standalone film. Absolutely. Yes, the characters you would say they were popular, more so Lightning McQueen and Mater, but Toy Story was on a whole nother level of heightened popularity, so that one I can see the reasoning for making a second one. Cars, I would say standalone. So moving on.
Yeah. So the next one we get is actually the first ever prequel that Disney Pixar put out, and that's being Monsters University. The story is all based on what happened before everyone worked at Monsters Incorporated, before they scared. So this is going to be them at college learning the techniques when Mike and Sully met each other. The storyline is not up to par with what we have gotten out of Pixar at this point. I will admit that. But I loved the concept of seeing characters at a younger age,
Me too,
getting a backstory to them that wasn't a flashback. And we got to see maybe like what went into how they get to this point. I did like that whole concept though. However, there were parts of the movie that they could have done with that, and they could have done better or had stronger writing and a stronger story. But overall, the idea, I think, was really good.
It wasn't a bad film at all. I think I remember seeing this in the drive-in.
Yeah, we saw this at the drive-in.
I enjoyed it. I actually need to watch this movie more. There's a lot of Pixar movies that I just need to watch more with sequels that I say I've not seen them as much as the classic, because Monsters, Inc., I've seen that so many times. It's one of my favorite Pixar movies. So I'd actually like to see a Monsters, Inc. sequel. Mainly because I love Boo so much, and I don't know if it would be weird. I don't know how they would do a storyline with it, but she would be grown up. I don't know, but the thing is, I wouldn't want it to be a bad one. So it's kind of like, it's comparable to what we're going to be talking about momentarily with Incredibles, where maybe with Monsters, Inc., I want a sequel, but do we need one, and is it going to be good enough? Since Monsters, Inc. came out in 2001, so it's already been 20 years, so I'd say that's a long time.
But the thing is, Disney Plus has a series on right now that it is taking place after Monsters, Inc. ended.
Oh, it's, which one is it?
Monsters at Work.
I haven't watched it yet.
I watched a couple of episodes. The Mike and Sully are in it. John Goodman's voice, you can tell he's getting older now.
Oh, wow.
Like, so Sully's voice, he sounds older, but it takes place right after, like, they got rid of Boo's door. So it's, like, right after that. There's other monsters that got brought in. So
I'll have to watch
I don't know.
about
yeah,
it.
I've only watched like 2 or 3 episodes, and then I forgot I was watching it. But it was good. I enjoyed it.
Finding Nemo came out with a sequel, Finding Dory, in 2016. I only watched Finding Dory once. Obviously, since it's Dory's in the title, she's the main character in this rather than it being on Marlin and Nemo. I'd have to watch it again, honestly. The thing is that the fact that it wasn't that memorable to me says something. I don't really know how it came off with ratings and with fans. I wanted a Finding Nemo sequel for years. We had to wait, and I think the problem with waiting so long, it came out, and then the focus was on Dory, kind of like with Cars and Cars 2, Mater was the focus. And sometimes I don't know, they're trying to work with a different storyline and maybe focus on another character, but sometimes I feel with these Pixar movies, when they focus on a side character and make it their whole movie, we get away from the original of Nemo, the character. He was the main. They can still do something with Dory, but to my recollection, I feel like Nemo was hardly in it.
So I know that a lot of this is getting taken place at an aquarium where Dory is at. They do some flashbacks where we get to see who Dory's parents are.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And they're at this aquarium. I do not have much memory of the movie, but a lot of this is because I think I've only seen it once or twice.
Yeah.
I thought it wasn't that bad when I watched it. Unfortunately, though, I just don't have much memory.
Yeah, it's not that it was bad. Again, it's one of those Pixar sequels that I need to watch again and really see it. The thing is, this is what happens. We've seen the original so many times. And when the sequels come out, we watch them once when they come out in theaters, and that's it. Maybe we'll watch them again, but we've had so many years to watch the originals. That is embedded in our head. Yeah, how are you going to catch up? You'd have to watch the sequel again and again and again, and that won't even compare to how many times you've seen the original. That's what's happened with all the other Pixar films where they made sequels. I know when I was doing research, when we discussed how Pixar animation has evolved, I know the Pixar crew, they did spend a lot of time working on Finding Dory. The only thing I wanted to add, again, this is going away from some stuff, but the octopus they had in it, his name was Hank. This is the one memory I have from Finding Dory. But it took them, I think, like 6 months for this person just to have one of the octopus's tentacles move a certain way or flow a certain way, because for some reason it was a different... They said it was something different with this octopus that they said that Hank the octopus would have never been able to be in the original Finding Nemo because something to do with animating.
That's interesting.
And again, because Pixar has evolved so much, they were able to do it, but it still took them a lot of time. So Finding Dory, I don't really want to crap on it and say negative things because I know a lot of work went into it. I just think I need to see it more to appreciate it more. And I've seen Finding Nemo so many times.
I will say that Finding Dory, though, is one of the better Disney Pixar sequels. I will say that.
Yeah, it's nowhere near Cars 2. I don't want to compare them. I just wanted to compare saying she's the center, kind of like Mater, but it's not a spy thing.
I would say that Finding Dory might actually be better than Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4. And just because it's Toy Story, that's why we've seen those more. But here's the other thing. Just like we talked about with the other two franchises, Finding Nemo, they banked on it. They made so much money off of it that's why they really dipped in to make another one.
Yeah.
That is one that it could have been a one and done. And
yeah, Finding Nemo was
they made so much money
good.
off of it. I know they wanted to probably bank more on it, but they would have been fine. They would have been completely fine just leaving that one alone. They just kind of
did it for more money again. Brian would agree if he was here. So what do we got for the next one?
The next one is Incredibles 2. Ooh. That came out in 2018. Us Disney Pixar fans were dying for them to make another one. We wanted one never gonna happen. So badly. A lot of it was we just loved the soundtrack. The soundtrack with that theme song they made for The Incredibles was amazing. We loved that we got to see a whole family, and it was with real people. It wasn't like them bringing objects, animals, or things to life. It was all actual people with superheroes, and superheroes were in its prime, and it still is, but that's why Incredibles did so well. However, this storyline that they made, though, for Incredibles 2... for that many years to go by, and then you're picking up where it left off, I think
there was no passage of time, which made no sense at all. I mean, with Toy Story, at least they passed the time and didn't. That would have been really awkward if they would have just, time passed. And between Incredibles, the original Incredibles and Incredibles 2, it was like 14 years had gone by. But there's that 14-year
gap. And they had 14 years to come up with a good script. Seriously.
Here's my issue, and here's what I don't understand. You mentioned that for years, since Iron Man, all of, with Marvel superhero movies have been so popular. I don't understand why Pixar did not make an Incredibles sequel sooner. I think it would have made more sense. I think they could have done it better and gotten it right if there was less of a gap. And Incredibles was one of the movies that I could actually see having a sequel. Not that, your other Pixar movies, we loved them so much, maybe we wanted sequels to see the characters again. With Incredibles, it made sense to have a sequel because so many superhero movies have sequels.
And Batman
has sequels. All the Marvel movies, Iron Man, Thor, Avengers, all of them have sequels. So it only makes sense that Incredibles, although it's animation, which it doesn't even matter because other animation superhero shows or movies had sequels, it just makes sense for Incredibles to have a sequel. Why they waited 14 years, I'm not sure. It built up so much hype that it fell flat, that they needed a very, very strong storyline for it to be good and pleasing with fans. But the issue is I don't think you're ever going to create, with some of these originals, you're never going to be able to create a sequel that's up to par, or like I want to say better, or even up to par. But I think they needed something a lot better for this one to make it, especially with that 14-year gap.
So I guess this is like the other thing. I guess I don't understand what's going on in these writing rooms, or where everyone's at now with like how they're supposed to be writing, what they're supposed to be writing about, the age level. They have so many things that they can create really good, concepts on. So I don't understand why they couldn't have even done it where they could have gotten even somebody from Marvel to come over, develop a very good superhero story with even like maybe some type of a story with like the Society of Superheroes from the past. Bring something that's almost like this mystery thing, done something. They could have had it where Dash and Violet were teenagers, or maybe taking over the superhero world, where Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl have retired. Yeah. Jack not being a baby anymore, cooking num crap.
He's been a baby for 14 years.
That's like, come on.
But here's the thing. I think that you mentioned this was also in another video about having code and going back to it, but it's been so long. I think that the animators did not want to have to work on aging the characters and getting it right to make it look believable. Because think about this. Toy Story, they did go with a passage of time. 1999 to 2010, they acknowledged, hey, Andy's grown up, he's going to college. They aged Andy, so that was something they did and they can do, but none of the toys had to age. For Incredibles, having to age them, they don't have to do 14 years. They can pick 5 years, whatever. They would have had to have aged Mr. and Mrs. Incredible, making them look like more elderly or like older. They would have had to make like Jack and Dash and Violet. I know, it's just, I think maybe in their minds they thought that was a lot of work to do, and they needed to get it right to make it look realistic to them being older. But I feel like they have the technology to do it. I just think I don't know what was going on in their minds. I just think they didn't want to have to age all of them, and they're just like, let's pick it up.
But even like the people that they brought in, like Sophia Bush's character, like there's these people and kids or teenagers, whoever they were, wanted to be heroes. Like, they were garbage roles. They really were. All of that whole thing with the whatever was going on with those goggles, with the there was something weird going on with like a bunch of like strobing going on and different stuff. It was just not a good concept.
Also, though, I think they made, so in the first one, Mr. Incredible was going back to work and doing that in private. In the second one, they made it more of the mom was doing it, Mrs. Incredible, and I feel like maybe the reason they did that was to try to, let's make it like a
they wanted to have like a lead. But this is the other thing, though. What Pixar has been very good at, though, is they've been helping carry movies that also go towards the boy audience, males. A lot of times when they create some of these movies, people will criticize this is so heavy towards a female and little girl audience. Pixar has done a great job at doing this, where they've brought us a lot of movies that male and female, boys and girls will
so
like.
I have to say gender neutral. Like, I can't even, like, Cars Finding Nemo.
And there's female and male
Nemo,
superheroes. So it could have been that maybe this was a weak link because they're trying to push to have Mrs. Incredible, well, you know, not Mrs. Incredible, but Elastigirl have a solo part.
I forgot. I knew she had a name, and I just wasn't.
Elastigirl, but there's so much they could have done with other society, like, you know how like they have like Marvel has the Avengers. There's a name in DC for their League of Superheroes. Like there's like the round table or this long table that they'll have Green Lantern, Superman, Batman, Flash. They'll have all of them there. I'll probably think of it later. But they could have done so much more with this. But yeah.
The thing is, Pixar is so creative that it's shocking that they wouldn't come up with something better. But yet again, they made Cars 2.
So those are all of the sequels that Pixar has done. But here's the thing. There are so many of them that people are saying, make a sequel to. Don't.
A lot of them, I can't even think what you would do with them, and the fact that comes across your mind means don't make another one. One I can think of is Up. There's no way to do a sequel to that. Because some of the storylines, they're so specific and central, especially with Up. Like the old guy in Up, he had this goal of his wife passed away and he wants to travel to South America. Guess what? He did that. He met his goal. He accomplished it. They had a whole adventure there. What are they going to do in the second one? Have him go back, have him, a son, or like it just, or someone else. It doesn't make sense. There's a lot of them. Same with A Bug's Life.
They don't look. It came out so many years ago. You don't need to dip back into that. Just leave it go.
Yeah, there's nothing. There's no storyline that could.
Ratatouille. Okay. There are people who want a sequel to Ratatouille. No,
but why?
Just leave it.
They did what they did with it. They did all they could do, in my opinion, with it.
Brave. I don't know if that's something where they could make a sequel. We already talked about Up. I don't know. Inside Out is one that...
No, that's a standalone.
It's a standalone one. The Good Dinosaur, I've never watched it. I'll just admit to it.
It was all...
Coco, I've only seen parts of it. Is that a movie that you can make a sequel out of, or you think they should just leave it alone as is?
See, the thing is, I feel like I could see Pixar making a sequel to it, but I don't think there's reason to, because, again, it's another movie that has a very specific storyline of I don't even know how you would, not to give a synopsis of it, but the way they did it, I just don't see a reason for a sequel, because they already went over all the Day of the Dead and after people die with the skeleton concept, the skulls and stuff. I don't see a reason to do it. I know that was one. I feel like Coco was one of the last really strong Pixar films. I do know that Soul, I think I want to say that did really well. I heard there was criticisms obviously with it. But I know it was heavily watched on Disney Plus, but I want to say Coco was one of the most recent Pixar films that came out later among the whole franchise.
A sequel.
That was a strong film, because when you go to the Disney Park Epcot, they incorporated it into the countries of around the world with Mexico, and they had performers.
There's discussion of taking the Three Caballeros ride.
I'm going to pretend like you didn't pronounce it like that. Sorry, guys, I'm a Spanish.
Well, then how do you say it then?
Caballeros.
Whatever. The Mexican boat ride in the Mexican pavilion. There's talk of them turning that into a Coco ride.
Which would be beautiful if they had all the lights and they...
Yes.
Calaveras and just everything with it would be really beautiful.
Onward, Soul, and Luca are movies I say are very, very low.
Flippity flop.
On the totem pole of success, storyline, how great they were. They're very, very low.
I mean...
And so they might go back to some of them to try to do it justice, do better, to make more money or to fix things. I say they didn't work. They didn't do good. Some of it, yes, they came out during the pandemic, but it's all on Disney Plus. We can watch it. So I just say that those are ones that leave it alone, move on from it. Don't do sequels. Don't do like little. They've done a short from Luca. Luca did do, I feel like, better out of all three of them. And I know a lot of children and other people enjoy it because of how colorful it was and it's a little bit different of a story.
Yeah.
But it's not up to par with the other stuff.
I think the only thing... So with Soul, I feel that the message and overall... Okay, the overall message of it was, I think, the best part of it. That's what made it a good film. There were some parts with it that were kind of too deep towards death and things like that are just way out there. But I don't think that one was bad, honestly, overall. I watched it twice. It was good.
will say, though, that there are Pixar movies better than that, and that's what pushes it down.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you take the newer films and compare them to the older ones...
Well, that's what wasn't Brian saying that in the Cars one? That all these recent ones, like, they've been tanking and they're not very good compared to the old ones.
Yeah. Because, I mean, Coco's a more...
might have said it, but...
Yeah, and we said Coco's a more newer one, and it's a strong film that is part of the franchise now, so they're still capable of making new ones that are strong. It's just so anyways, guys, we could go into this forever, but tell us what you think about the sequels. Do you think they should have done Toy Story 3 and 4? Do you want to see a Toy Story 5? Because I sure don't.
Well, they are making Lightyear, but that's a completely different concept that a lot of people are pumped for.
Yeah, so tell us what you think, thoughts, and we'll see you next time for another 25 Days of Disney.